Well, Impact was created to reduce crime, and as the name implies, we wanted to make an impact on communities by reducing levels of victimisation and crime. And previously we had done that by focusing on a group of most prolific offenders in the city, but by analysing what was happening with those offenders, we realised that we needed to be dealing with a lot more people to have a really significant reduction on crime. And also, as well as dealing with more people, trying to stop the revolving door of the criminal justice system, so that when we arrested people, when we charged them, when we convicted them, they didn't just go to prison and come out and resume their offending behaviours. We had ways of catching them and bringing about changes in their lives that would protect communities. We pooled all our resources with the probation service, police, prison service, drugs team, drug specialists, local authority, restorative justice workers, family intervention, so that we could create a capacity by working together that really would allow us to manage these people more effectively. We also, in a slightly different way, work with the business community to try and get employment for offenders. We work much more closely with the voluntary and charitable sectors, and also through our neighbourhood policing, get communities involved in how offenders are dealt with, and hopefully take local responsibility for dealing with offenders.
A call might come in, say, from a local police station to say that someone on our cohort has been arrested, and the call would go to another police officer. She or he would call over a probation colleague. They'd talk about that case and realise that there's a drugs element of this. A drugs worker would come in and join that conversation. A judgment would be made about what we need to do next, and it may be that 2 of those 3 would go and see the offender in a prison, and special arrangements would be made so that we saw that offender in the prison at the right time to do the right things.
It's important to understand that impact is not a soft option for offenders. Impact is as much about enforcement and compliance. I think impact's changed the way we work with offenders by bringing a much more structured and systematic approach to their lives and to their offending. And we do that by pursuing what we call the 8 pathways, recognising all the factors in an offender's life that can either lead to them offending in the first place, or lead to them continuing to offend and re-offend over time. And the 8 pathways allow us to look at things, for example, like their drug misuse, their alcohol misuse, family and children issues, finance and debt, employment, education and training, housing, behaviours and attitudes. And across those 8 pathways we can really get to grips and understand how an offender is leading their lives and deal with the problems. The big opportunity that Impact gives us is that by having all the agencies working under one roof, working really closely together with short corridors, then we get the best plan for each offender.
It was 5 of us in a 1-bedroom bedsit, and my mum was out every night as a prostitute. I met this girl, and she had a flat with her sister, so I moved in with her, and that's when I started smoking pot and taking heroin and just using the place. The gaff was just a drug den, really. Heroin was new to us, so we was just using it. It's just, we didn't know what it had done to you, you know. It was just when I started smoking crack, that's when it got out of hand. You need hundreds of pounds a day, or even thousands of pounds. You know, that's when it comes into car crime's not enough. You can't, working's just not enough. You know, it's either robbing or burglary, which I tried, and that was what it was for me, burglary. You know, just knew I can get a lot of money from it. I was good at it. I wasn't that good because I got caught. But without your support from Impact, I think I would be in prison. No, I think I think I would be using flat out, using heroin flat out, or crack, and I would think I would be on the run, either or out burgling, or dead. Maybe.
We are a much more integrated unit, and whereas before the police did their bit, probation did their bit, prisons did their bit, we are now talking to each other. And whereas we had knowledge of offenders, knowledge of certain people, that knowledge and intelligence, if you like, broke down at certain points. Whereas now we're very much aware of what happens to that offender right throughout the course of their journey through the criminal justice system. I could name 4 or 5 people who 2 or 3 years ago I would never have said would have been off drugs, stopped offending, living happily in the community with a family and working, because it just would never happen. They were so high risk within the police world that I would never have said they'd have been able to have sustained that way of life that they're now having, but they have.
I think Impact has been a terrific success. The results are clear. When prisoners are actually coming back to me and sending me letters in custody, thanking me for the effort that I put into them, that says everything to me. I think what we're able to do now is target offenders better by seeing them both in prison and in the community, where we can address their offending. I'm really quite passionate about this role. It gives me a chance to identify some of the prisoners that I've worked with personally in custody. I've built up some really good relationships with some of these individuals, and that's helped me to establish links with them in the community, which is invaluable.
Where basically we're helping people learn a new set of skills to live a life where, you know, drugs doesn't govern all their decision making. And I think we've got very good working relationships between drug services and you know, units like Impact. It just makes sense, really. We all know about kind of the revolving door of prison. You can lock people up. You know, you can take the problem off the streets for a little while, but if you're not tackling the underlying cause, which for kind of 90% plus of offenders is sort of drugs and or alcohol, then it's only a kind of sticking plaster solution.
I think Impact coming about is about time. It's something that should have happened years and years ago. The whole fact that offenders know that we're all working together, you know, treating them as individuals and tailoring packages of care to meet their needs, I think has been absolutely marvellous.
My role fits in with the role of other agencies in that we constantly are talking to each other. So I work with an FIO called Andy Tyus, who sits with us in the office and has access to all the police computers, so he can tell us when there's any intelligence on one of my offenders. Coming in every morning, I get an email to say this is what so-and-so has been up to, which means that I can act a lot more quickly on information. The more information you have, the better you are at managing an offender.
Well, the future for Impact and for integrated offender management is a very exciting one. There's a lot of work going on nationally to make it work. That means a lot of the big agencies and departments and organisations who need to be involved in it are lined up ready to work in new ways that really will help us to deal with offenders.
My first experience with the Impact team was when I was written to in prison, and I was told that I was going to be put onto a scheme where I was going to be supervised when I come out of prison. And it was going to be, it was a new thing, and at first I wasn't too happy about it because what was involved, but after a couple of weeks I was kind of, I was up for it. It's given me a chance, really. It's kind of given me the support that I needed. It's given me a lot of structure, it's given me a lot of confidence within myself, and just coming to be able to talk to someone like yourself or someone in the team, it's just given me that little bit more motivation and the support that I needed, that hand that I'd never had before. If I didn't have that helping hand, then I would have been back in prison again. But I've been out now 6 months, I think I've been out now. The benefits of Impact for me is there's a chance for everyone to grab it, really. If you get the chance to take it, because all I can say is positive things about it. I wouldn't say there was no negative things. And I'm not just saying that because I'm being filmed. I've been a long-term offender myself, so I've been through the system a lot, and yeah, there's a lot of confidence in the scheme, and a lot more places should have it.